Hey, what's up guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here. Happy Saturday to you, and I hope you are all having a great weekend so far. And welcome back to my weekly Q&A session. It's my favorite time of the week. I hope it is yours too, because it's a time where I can just spend an intimate session with you guys. You're my favorite crowd. Don't get me wrong, I love all my community members, but I have a special bond with you. And as you can probably see here, typically I play Halo 5 Warzone Firefight while I'm doing this. And I decided to switch it up this week because I've been on a Slender Man kick. I've been watching some of the indie films, which were actually surprisingly good. And I recently just bought Slender the Arrival, but I don't want to tackle that yet until I've tackled Slender the 8 Pages. As a matter of fact, they even have a remastered version of the 8 Pages in Slender the Arrival. So I want to take this down. I hope it's not boring for you, but I hope it's not too scary for you too. This game actually freaks me out more than any other game I've played in recent years. So for those of you who don't know how this works, you submit a question by submitting it in the comment section below of this week's video, and I'll select 12 questions for the following week. And of course, you know, I know I get a lot more than 12 questions, so probably next week or the week after, I'm going to start upping the number of questions that I pick. There is one thing that I wanted to point out real quick, though, because I've noticed this a little bit, and I don't want to give anyone the cold shoulder or anything, but when I see questions that are like paragraphs long, I tend to not select those, especially if it's something like, hey, what do you think of this scenario? And then there's like, you know, just several sentences worth of stuff, because I don't want to lose people. And it's also cut for time, but I know that you spent a great deal of time working on them. And so what I'm going to start doing is when I see those long questions, and yes, please keep submitting them, instead of putting them in the video, I'll just reply to the comment section, and I'll do it the same day that I post the new video too, so that you can see that. Generally, when I look at questions, I try to keep them short, just so that the video isn't overly long, or just so that I don't lose anybody. And so again, that's not a critical thing. I'm just letting you guys know that's typically how I operate. If I don't pick your question for whatever reason, you can of course copy and paste it the following week. But if you really want to make sure that you get your question in that week, the best way to do that is to follow me on Twitter. Links to my account, my Twitter page is in the description below, and I'll throw it up on here, right here on the screen real quick. And speaking of throwing up on the screen real quick, I want to show you this just right before I get to the Q&A session, how much of a dick Slender can be. This happened just a couple of days ago, where I just collected like a page, and see, look at that. That's so crazy. And he's cheating too. I'd only grabbed like 1 or 2 pages at that point, so what the hell. But anyway, sorry to go off on a small tangent there, but that's how I select the questions. And again, the best way to submit it obviously is in the comment section below, but if you were absolutely adamant about getting your question in for that week's video, hit me up on Twitter. That's the best way to do it. And so with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. Our first question of this week comes from On-Field Guys. He's a good friend of mine from Twitter, and speaking of Twitter, and he asks, should 343 hire Joseph Staton to write the story for Halo 6 so that the Halo series can be returned to its roots? So for those of you who don't know, Joseph Staton was a major contributor to the story arc of the Bungie games. To answer the question for you, I don't think so. I don't think that would really help. And the reason I say that is because, remember, not all Bungie games were perfect story-wise either. Halo 3 I don't really like for its story. I like it for its gameplay. Halo 3, in my opinion, had one of the most congested stories of the original set, and I wasn't impressed with it at all. It was kind of like Halo 5 in the sense that it just felt like it was trying to be a lot bigger than it was. And so I wasn't really impressed by it. I mean, it was still better than Halo 5, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as good as the previous games. So I don't think that would help. And keep in mind, not all of 343 stuff has been bad. I'm not going to lie to you. The person who wrote Halo 5 needs to go back to cleaning toilets. But for Halo 6, but we have seen that they can do good work. Personally, I loved the storyline for Halo 4, and I might be the odd man out here, but really, that was a story that I loved to watch. The gameplay was a little bit sometimes, but I thought the story was a perfect follow-up to Halo 3. And I think if they get the right staff together, they can come up with something fantastic for Halo 6. But they cannot make the same story mistakes that they made in Halo 5 Guardians. So thanks for stopping by, On-Field Guys. It's always good to hear from you, bro, and I'll catch you on Twitter. Our next question comes from Kenickie. And Ken asked, taking a look back at the squad system in Halo 5's campaign, what do you think will happen to it in Halo 6? Do you think they will keep it the way it is? So there's been a lot of back and forth on this. I know there were a lot of community members that don't like it. They like some of the story elements from the previous games that made you feel alone and isolated. My response to that is there are plenty of games out there that do that, especially ones recently like Doom. Part of the draw for me personally for the Halo series was the fact, especially Halo 1, was the fact that you had all these allies helping you out. And so personally, I thought the squad system was a positive addition to Halo 5. It wasn't perfect by any means, trust me, especially when you try to look at the mechanical purpose of it being there with the characters and all. But I think that in Halo 6, if they work to improve the mechanics of it, it can be fine, and also make every character relevant. Sorry. You know, if you look back at, you know, everyone in Halo 5, you had Master Chief, and when you go, and the other three, unless you've read the stories, make no sense. And even if you have read at least some of the stories, you don't understand how they got there. When you look at Fireteam Osiris, the only character that most people are going to be familiar with is Buck, and he wasn't even the main guy. So what I would like to see in Halo 6 is, or whatever the next major Halo title is, at least Master Chief should always be the main guy. You play him from start to finish. In terms of other people that could take the slot for the other three, I think Locke, obviously, because he was a big part of Halo 5, whether you like him or not. And also Buck. He would be a great person to have there. You know, he'd be like the comic relief, so to speak. And as far as the fourth person goes, it could be a variety. Arbiter, obviously, would be a huge choice. And I think it would be a fan favorite right there. The only other Spartans that I could think of would be maybe Palmer, which I know people have mixed feelings about. Personally, I like Palmer because tall women. Am I right, guys? Am I right? But the only other person that I could think of that could fill that fourth spot is maybe Jerome from Halo Wars 2. And they've already said that Halo Wars 2 will tie in directly with Halo 6. So I see that as being a possibility as well. Personally, I'm hoping that fourth player is Arbiter. But yes, I would still like to see the squad system from Halo 5, the four-person system, return in Halo 6 with maybe just some tweaked mechanics, something to make it a bit more efficient. But that's a great question, Ken. Thank you. Our next question comes from Some Halo Guy. Oh, that's not random at all. And Some Halo Guy asks, what is your favorite Covenant species or unit from the Halo campaigns and why? The Elites. Easy. They seem to be the most complex species out there. They don't have just one purpose. They have many. When you look at the Grunts, you know, it's just cannon fodder. That's all they are, is cannon fodder. The Jackals are mostly there for suppression, and in later games it became sort of a sniper or pinpoint type enemy as well. Hunters are cool. They are interesting in theory, especially with just the whole worm concept, and they can actually become other things other than hunters, but they have no real character to them. At least not what we've seen so far. I think that's supposed to be different in Halo Wars 2. I haven't played the expansions yet, but as far as I can tell, the Elites are just the most deep species in the Covenant. They're the ones that I've always sort of, you know, whether it's because they're scary or they're just, there's a depth to them. So the Elites have always been my favorite. Those are the toys that I always collected from McFarlane. Had to have all the Elites. But yeah, definitely the Elites hands down. Thanks, Some Halo Guy. That was a great question. Our next question comes from my boy, Arc48. Welcome back, dude. And Arc asked, what are your thoughts about what we saw at E3? So, you know, it's interesting that he asked this because essentially they confirmed a theory, well, almost confirmed a theory that I threw back out there in November of last year. And that was when I said the Flood would return in Halo 6. And one of the theories I had to back up that claim was that there would probably still Flood on the Ark. Now, people said, no, that's not true. The Halo ring fired, and I was like, but Halo doesn't kill Flood, it kills their food. And they're like, no, that's not true. It kills Flood forms too. And I was like, no, dude. Go back and replay Halo Combat Evolved. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take a second just to throw the exact quote up here right now.
You have no idea how this ring works, do you? Why the Forerunners built it? Halo doesn't kill Flood. It kills their food. Humans, Covenant, whatever. We're all equally edible. The only way to stop the Flood is to starve them to death. And that's exactly what Halo is designed to do. Wipe the galaxy clean of all sentient life.
So the point in that is is Cortana made that even if the Halo had detonated, which it did, even though it was a broken installation anyway, so it may have not have fired correctly, it's not supposed to kill Flood. It just kills everything else so that more Flood can't be, so that the Flood can't spread. That's all there is to it. So I expected more Flood to be on the Ark. Now they talked about, I think it was in another book, and I forget which one it was, that apparently they destroyed all the Flood on the Ark. I don't believe that for a second. The Ark is a huge place. The Flood can hide very easily. You know, it's simple for them to come back. So basically, I confirmed that back in November, and what do you know? The Flood have returned on the Ark for Halo Wars 2, and of course, as I said earlier, as 343 had already mentioned, Halo Wars 2 is directly connected to Halo 6. So obviously I think there is a high chance that the Flood will be in Halo 6. I see that as an interesting plot device, and I can't see them backing down from that. I mean, think of it, just this all-out war between multiple factions. That would be the best close to this series that they can possibly do. So that's an excellent question, Ark. Thanks for stopping by. Our next question comes from Arkirch. That's a cool name. And Arkirch asks, what are your thoughts on dual wielding, and do you think it should make a return in future Halo games? Personally, I would be fine with that. I thought it was fine in Halo 2, it was fine in Halo 3. I understood why they removed it in Halo 3 ODST, because you weren't a Spartan, you were an ODST, but I'm not sure why they removed it in Reach. I always assumed it was because you were a Spartan 3 and you weren't as cool as a Spartan 2. But overall, it's something that wasn't necessarily important to the games, but it was something I enjoyed having the option to do. So I'm not really sure why it was removed at all. I don't really recall hearing a lot of negative feedback about it. In fact, if anything, I remember people asking to dual wield even more weapons. It's kind of like the energy sword, like they want to dual wield the energy sword. I'm not really sure how that would work or why people would want to do that unless they really made it one weapon but just aesthetically made it look like two, just to make a more powerful swing. But I think it absolutely should make a return, not for all weapons, but at least a limited availability. So that's my personal thoughts on it, and that's a great question. Thanks, Arkirch. Thank you. Our next question comes from Limeshake Strudler. I love that name. And Limeshake asked, do you think there will be new Promethean vehicles in Halo 6 that will be original, unlike most of their weapons? Oh, burn! I like that. So here's what I'm hoping for. I think there will be, but one thing that I've sort of been banking on is that we need some sort of a Promethean dropship, because the way they just keep randomly teleporting and warping into Halo 5 Guardians just is so cliche. It doesn't really make any sense. It's just too easy. It's too lazy. They need to have ships. They need to have something to drop them off so that we can either potentially destroy them or potentially destroy some of them before they enter. Basically give the players a chance. Make it less cheesy. Put some ships in there, but that's what I'm thinking. And there could even be ground vehicles too. I don't know for sure, just because it seems like the Prometheans or Forerunners in general are too advanced to have ground vehicles. But at the very least, I think that we'll see something in the way of a dropship arrive. So that's a good thing to bring up, and I appreciate it. Hopefully 343 hears this one. So thank you, Limeshake. Our next question comes from Blackwing799. What's going on, Blackwing? And Blackwing asks, should Halo have comedy in the story? Not something overdone, just something that actually fits in. Okay, that's sort of a yes and no answer. So Halo has done comedy right before. Most of it's pretty subtle. You know, the lines that Sergeant Johnson delivers, some of the lines that Buck delivers, not in Halo 5, but in Halo 3 ODST. And even Cortana has some good zingers from time to time. I think as long as it lands and it doesn't feel out of place like some of Buck's comedy in Halo 5 Guardians, it could work. But I don't want them to overdo it either. They should always have subtle comedy and stuff just to keep players interested, just so it's not so depressing. But they shouldn't turn it into a comedy either, because that's just not Halo. So I hope that answers your question, Blackwing. Thank you. Our next question comes from Michael Simmons. Any relation to Private Simmons or maybe Griff? By any chance, Michael? And Michael asked, would you like to play a Halo game as a Marine instead of a Spartan or an ODST? Short answer, no. You know, ODST was fine, but if I want to play as a regular Marine or a soldier, there's plenty of other games out there like Battlefield or Call of Duty or whatever, even though Call of Duty has sort of been trying to get closer to the Spartan status, it looks like. But Honestly, I think there's too many games out there as is that you would just play as a regular soldier. I think the Spartan thing is unique, and I wouldn't want to waste a Halo game on that type of concept unless maybe it was something like Sergeant Johnson. There would have to be some sort of suit enhancement to make it feel like Halo. I can't imagine you walking around just as a regular Marine and just seeing how it goes. It doesn't add up for a Halo game for me, but it's an interesting thought, so I appreciate that one, Michael. Thank you. Our next question comes from Andrew Saley. And Andrew asks, what are your thoughts and opinions on hit markers and the red X that animates inside your crosshairs when you kill an enemy? So, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but if you're not up to speed with Halo 5 Guardians, typically when you kill an AI or some sort of enemy, you'll get a little X marker there, just to let you know that you downed them. I think that's a good thing to have in there. I'm pretty sure they've had them in previous games too, except it's not usually on the hit marker, it's just on a person's name. I mean, I've seen it before. It's just I feel like it's better done in Halo 5. I can't see any reason why it should be cut out, even though typically if you're killing a player, it puts it on the screen anyway. But in terms of AI, it's not going to do that. So personally, I think it's cool to have it there. It's a nice little extra feature to have. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. So thanks, Andrew. I think that's a good question. Our next question comes from Epsilon Halo. Ooh, I like that. So what is Epsilon Halo? Is that like Installation 03, or how does that work? So Epsilon asks, is Halo 3 Anniversary still possible, and why or why not? So I'm going to just tell you right now, Epsilon, that I'll be talking about this more on Monday. I have a special Halo 3 Anniversary video for that. I don't want to give away too much information at the moment. But the short answer is yes. I think that we will eventually see one. The reason why I don't think we're seeing one now is because there's no point in it. The Halo... Let me back up a little bit. Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 needed to be graphically updated. Even though I wasn't completely on board with Halo 2 Anniversary, it's still, you know, the other two have not aged well. You know, if you look at Halo Combat Evolved, it was very jagged. I think that's a good word for it. Halo 2 felt like it was very matted in appearance. You know how you all saw the shiny textures of the Comet and everything in Halo Combat Evolved, but in Halo 2 it looked more like styrofoam. And so I feel like those two really benefited from it. But remember, Halo 3 was the first game to be made in HD, and 10 years later those graphics have still aged quite well. I think if they bring it up to speed in terms of, like, since they're making Halo 3 backwards compatible by holiday season, I don't see why they need to focus on Halo 3 Anniversary right now when they can just bring the old Halo 3 back up to 4K standards. In terms of, do I think they'll actually go at some point and remaster the graphics and everything like they did for Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2? Yes. When that's going to happen, again, I'm going to save for Monday, but I'll tell you, not yet. And it's not just the fact that, you know, Halo 3 has aged very well over the last 10 years compared to the other two games. It's also the fact that, you know, we really want them to concentrate more on Halo 6, because they really spread themselves thin with between Halo 4 and Halo 5 with Spartan Assault, Spartan Strike, Master Chief Collection, doing books and movies and all that stuff. And I think they realized that. Even though, you know, other companies played a large part in the development of those games, Microsoft still had direct oversight there. So, in all honesty, I think that they realized their mistake. They're making Halo Wars 2 as sort of a better bridge between Halo 5 and Halo 6, and so we're going to get a better Halo 6. That's why they're breaking the 3-year cycle this time around that we typically have between major Halo titles, and we probably won't be seeing Halo 6 till 2019. That's a big deal. They want to make this game absolutely perfect, and I do not want them to get sidetracked at all. Again, short answer, yes, one eventually, but not right now. So thanks for stopping by, Epsilon. That was a great question. I always love talking about Halo 3 Anniversary. Our next question comes from Adele Altamimi. And Adele's new here, so welcome to the site. Welcome, Adele. And Adele asks, do you think that it would be cool to have the Master Chief be caught in a war between the Flood and the Prometheans? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that we're going to witness this in one way, shape, or form. This is not the first time this has been explored in the 343 lore. If you remember from the terminals in Halo 4, basically the Didact's main defense against the Flood, aside from the Halos, were in fact his Prometheans. So now that we would, you know, we've seen it in action in terms of the cutscenes and the terminals, but we haven't actually seen it in gameplay. And I think it'd be kind of cool to see space zombies fight up against Skynet. So yeah, I think it'd be a great entry into the series, and I can't wait to see it. So that was a great question, Adele. Thank you. And our final question of the night comes from Luke in Gold. What's the matter, Luke? You don't like silver? What if I like silver? What do you got to say about that? And Luke, no, I'm just kidding, Luke. And Luke asks, if the Master Chief was killed in Halo 6, perhaps sacrificing himself to stop Cortana, for example, how do you think the community would react? Oh, this is a loaded question, Luke. So I've actually done a video on this before, and so I know firsthand how they would react. Back in January, I did a video called Master Chief Will Die in Halo 6. And just to give you sort of an idea of where I'm going with this, Master Chief can't go on forever. He can't. He's human. You know, he may be a cyborg, but he's still human, and he's getting old. You know, from what I understand, he's like in his late 40s at this point, so he's getting up there. And I can't ever imagine Master Chief retiring either. Keep in mind, he's been training for combat since he was 6 years old. So I can't imagine him taking a desk job or, you know, sitting in a ship feeling helpless. And because they even went into that in the Fall of Reach book where, you know, the Spartans hated being aboard ships because they weren't fighting. They were always in the hands of somebody else, and they wanted to be in control themselves. So when it is time for Master Chief to bow out, which I think will be at the close of this saga, it's got to, he can't, I know I'm sort of stuttering here, he's got to self-sacrifice here. He's got to die. He can't just retreat. He can't go back into cryo sleep. We need to close the chapter on Master Chief. Now, before you say anything towards that, if it's going to be done, it has to be done right. It can't be a cheap death. It can't be a cheesy death. It's got to be something meaningful. And the most meaningful death I've seen in Halo so far is what we went through with Cortana in Halo 4. And what was interesting about that is the entire game led up to it, and you see all the sacrifices Cortana made to save the Chief and to get him off the Didac ship before the nuke went off and all that stuff, and it was just such a sad close, but at the same time it was a very satisfying one. And I'd love to see Master Chief essentially return the favor in Halo 6, save Cortana by sacrificing himself, but it's got to be done in a very emotional way. I think no matter what, you're going to get people who are going to be pissed off. You'll get those people out there who says, if Chief dies, we riot. At least he's not Daryl from The Walking Dead. So there's always going to be people who are going to be disappointed by it. I've seen some of the comments. Well, I've seen all the comments from that video that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, there are a lot of people that would be pissed off if something happened to him. But I don't think they really have explored all the possible ways that something more satisfying. It may not even be that he dies entirely. Maybe he's composed and maybe absorbed into Cortana somehow so that they're always intertwined together for all of eternity or something touching like that. I mean, there's a lot of good ways to do it. And I just hope that when the time does come, and it will come sooner or later, and I'm expecting it in the next major Halo title, I hope they do it right, and I hope they do it in a way that not only pays respects to Chief, but also the longtime Halo fans. So I hope that answers your question. Basically, yes, I think Chief is going to die at some point. There are going to be fans that don't take it well, but if they do it right, they can make right by everybody in the end. So that's an excellent question, Luke. Thank you for stopping by. So that does bring a close to this week's Q&A session. I really do appreciate all of you stopping by. I had a lot of great questions this week. If I didn't answer your question, again, post it next week. And if it's one of the long questions we talked about, I'll go ahead and reply in the comments to last week's video just so that you have an answer to them. And I really do appreciate it. So what do you guys think about Master Chief in Halo 6 possibly dying or possibly self-sacrificing? Or sacrificing himself? You can let me know in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitter, basically the same way that you would ask me a question for next week's video. And if you like this video and you want to see more, click that subscribe button for more video game related content every single day right here on MythicTyrant.com. That's right, I changed it up a little bit, folks. We're going to be doing content every day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you all stopping by. Again, great questions this week. Again, thanks for watching, guys and gals. I'll catch you right back here next time. Have an excellent weekend. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.